Well, it is January 19th, day 309 of the 15-day lockdown. Oh boy, oh boy. Let's see. So tomorrow, the airspace around Mar-a-Lago, the Trump palace of the Festivus, is going to be shut down. And the reason is he's leaving Washington a day early. So all of you who thought Trump would be parading in, with the National Guard or some QAnon conspiracy theory thing, guess what? He's not going to be in town to do it. That train has come and left. So this video is addressed to some very good people, that meant well, namely Trump supporters who, just by way of background, when you're a libertarian, you don't get to just gas everyone unilaterally and put them in boxes and groups. You have to talk to people. You have to earn your votes. I know it's a foreign concept to Trump and the Democrats who benefit from electoral welfare. You see, us libertarians have to work a lot harder, way harder. It's not fair, but we don't sit around and bitch about how unfair it is. We just get to work. So what's the scorecard here? I remember back in April, Trump was saying things like we're gonna liberate these states. Yeah, how'd that work? Did the guy show up? Did he roll in? Did he send AG Barr down as he promised? Well, no. It turned out anyone who followed the man for all the decades he's been in the public spotlight would know he was full of shit. And I knew it. And now it is that time where we get to compare and stare and compare into which hand where the Trump flag wavers were waving the flag hard, wishing into one hand, and it was raining in the other, and we know which hand filled up first. So the bottom line is this. The Mexico wall, Mexico didn't pay for it. It's not even done. The lockdowns are still there. Trump didn't do anything to end them at all. He could, and yes, that was within his power. I mean, that's the U.S. Constitution right there. You can't obstruct travel among the states, and you can't treat people differently under the law like, we have with churches versus package stores and whatnot. So here's the problem you're dealing with. If the standard back in 1968, when Governor Wallace was blocking the front steps of a university to keep 6 black people from going to college, if that was the standard to roll out the National Guard, where in the flying hell are we now? Well, you know where we are, and the reality is staring you right in the face, and it ain't good. So here's where you are. You voted raw. You went rah Republican. I don't know how to say this, but I've been around for quite some time in the political circles, as it were. I remember the Tea Party. I remember how all you suckers rolled up your sleeves and went to work for Scott Brown, who was going to get elected to the Senate, and he was going to repeal Obamacare. You remember that? Wasn't 2010 like so awesome? Oh, wait, it wasn't. Actually, it kind of sucked because the rah Republican Tea Party people, it turns out they could spend just as much as the Democrats that they railed against. And so you've got a $26 trillion national debt now. Of course, Trump said, give them a few more bucks. We'll pay it back. Anyone who thinks we're going to pay back $26 trillion of anything is off their rocker, and they've lost all their marbles, or at least most of them. So that's the guy you were relying on to do everything for you, that one guy. So you now have problems you cannot vote your way out of. You have Medicare's collapse is coming. It is now mathematically certain. All right? That's where you are. And as far as these troops in the Middle East, they're still over there. The correct number of troops to have over there is 0. We have a number greater than 0. We've poured concrete. It's East Virginia. That's how much money we've poured into it and how much concrete we've poured on it. So life goes on. You have decided, I'm going to go rah Republican. Did you get what you wanted? Absolutely not. Would Trump have won by a landslide had he fulfilled that promise to end these lockdowns? Absolutely. Here's the thing. the Democrats were playing this game of, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? And the Republicans are playing this game of, boy, they're burning everything down. Aren't they so horrible? You should vote against them. Well, these sort of games don't end well for you. And when there is bipartisan consensus, they're going to gang up on you, and your rights, your liberties, your future is going to be the room for compromise, where they take stuff out of it. And that's what you got. You got problems you can't vote your way out of. But there are things you can do. There is a construct, which we are doing here in Connecticut, called Make Me Day. And we are economically isolating the COVID forces. Now, I know a lot of you are probably going to look at that and go, isn't that so hard? People aren't initially going to be on with it. Like, well, I didn't say it was easy. And as a matter of fact, if you've been paying attention, you would know you have problems you can't just vote your way out of anymore, because we've been going rah-rah Republican, rah-rah Democrat, and, well, we started breaking a whole lot of things. We broke the ability to pay for hospitals. We broke the ability to pay for these pensions we have just wonderfully wished out of nothing. We've broken so many things. It's hard. I mean, a presentation on all of it would take hours and hours to describe what absolute obscene, chaotic stuff we have done to ourselves, how we've screwed ourselves up horribly. I know a little more than the average bear. I'm not the smartest guy on the face of planet Earth by any stretch. But when I crack open the books and the information, you see, this is the thing. People are still saying, but what about the 2022 elections? And it's like, well, if that's your answer, you're fucked. Okay? If that's your answer, you are screwed. You are asking for 2 years worth of damage. If you're just going to sit there with your thumb frankly up your butt and just say, the Republicans are going to save me. If I just wave my Trump flag harder, if I just leave my Trump decorations out, he'll magically come back. Oh, maybe if I just wait until 2025 when we get him back. Well, that's kind of a shitty plan. And there are a lot of reasons it's a shitty plan. Number one is because the lockdowns kill a whole lot of people. A lot of people. I'm talking, deaths of despair. I'm talking deferred cancer treatments. I'm talking, I don't know. You've got people whose lives have been absolutely upended. Everyone's supposed to just work for free now or whatever. Money's not supposed to have its value. I don't know what 40 million Americans on the streets are going to look like, but I'm sure that has bad health consequences, and it's coming sooner than you think. And if you think, well, the governor or whatever, my governor, if you're not in Connecticut, there's a rent holiday, and Biden has made a rent holiday. There's one problem with that, because even if your landlord goes along with it, landlord's got to pay the bills too. He's got to keep the lights on. He's got to make sure the water's running. He's got to make sure his or her mortgage gets paid. And you know what? When his or her mortgage doesn't get paid, you know what else doesn't get paid? The property taxes don't get paid. That means your town takes the property. That means the town will boost you on the fucking street. Oh, and that's if the bank doesn't take the property first, because the bank will boost you and throw you on the street. How do I know? Only done the whole paralegal thing for good, 12, 13 years. Seen it happen. It's pretty ugly. And so all things like that do come to an end. And if you want to live in denial forever, you get boosted. You get tossed on the street. So what we did was we created this thing where, we were all 5 by executive order. So you see, the way it worked was, I'm an essential superhero, and my mommy is an essential superhero, and my cousin Timmy is an essential superhero, and my cousin and her friend even have powers too, and I get to do my part by staying home and not worrying about anything. Nobody has to do anything, and you're going to get a check, and you're a hero by playing video games because you're 5 by executive order. Now, Trump played along with it. He did. You didn't see him scream about the checks. Actually, if anything, he wanted his name on the damn checks, and he got what he wanted. So don't sit here and tell me that the Republican Party is fiscally conservative, because they're not. And such a claim is so inherently wrong and dishonest that if you're going to make it, you need your head examined, especially after that little speech on January 6th where he said, not only give them a few more bucks, we'll pay it back, but I'll be right there at the Capitol marching with you. Here's the thing, and this is why Make Me Day is going to work, and this is why trying to vote your way out of a problem or screaming like a Karen isn't going to achieve any results. You see, when you want to get anything done, you have to keep your demands very simple and focused, like Make Me Day is. And you need to say, this is it. You want to be a COVID cop, we are going to economically isolate you. That means if a cop gives someone a ticket for not wearing a mask, that cop gets reported to MakeMeDay.com. That cop's picture and name get on MakeMeDay.com. And everyone participating refuses to trade or do business with said cop. You know what that means? Cop goes into a bar, wants a meal. Bartender says, sorry, I don't serve fascists here. Get the fuck out. Or cop gets a flat tire, breaks down on the middle side of the road. Tow truck driver, he participates in Make Me Day. He's got other cars to tow. He's suddenly just gets lost, can't seem to find where this car broke down. It's a terrible shame. Wouldn't even know how that would happen. But these kind of things happen to fascists who give people tickets for not wearing a mask. And it's terrible and unfortunate, and it's actually for life, permanent. The cop that gave someone a ticket for not wearing a mask, his toilet explodes at 3 a.m, and the plumber says, oh, gee, afraid I've got too much to do. I know it's 3 a.m, but I'm just too busy. I just can't seem to help you, officer. That's terrible. I mean, maybe you should have thought about giving someone a ticket for wearing a mask, but you didn't, and that's why your toilet is something you're going to have to fix yourself. Good luck with that. So this is the kind of thing where, 2021 is the year of the guy who wants to be left alone. And he is going to be left alone whether the imposers want to do it or not. Now, you got two political parties of imposers. You've got the Democrats and the Republicans. I know, they're not all imposers. There are a lot of people who believe, for whatever reason, that they're going to get people left alone by being in these parties. Well, quite frankly, they're not. And history has shown it, because you've got two parties who basically don't have a philosophy anymore. They don't care about what the role of government is. They just want power. They want to be the ones handing out the cheddar. And their argument is, well, if only we handed out the cheddar, then you wouldn't have all this terror and violence and inequity and death. Well, you see, the thing is, Operation Warp Grandma into a Box is entirely predicated on ignoring any possible treatment or intervention for COVID-19. So, put in real terms, this is why the NIH is not looking at ivermectin at all. This is why the Bill Gateses of the world are not going to fund any of that research. They've got too much invested in Mashad. So rather than say, we screwed up, we have a chance to go back and do it right, we're going to save lives, they're going to say sit and spin. And all these governors, like the governor of South Dakota, he pretty much came out and said, God, but if we end the state of emergency, what about those federal dollars? Well, thank you for your honesty. I appreciate that. Now, you're not going to get it out of Cuomo. You're not going to get it out of King Lamont. And Cuomo's going to certainly try to run Connecticut forever. And this ends one of two ways. By the way, one of them is not an election. That's not how you solve this kind of a problem anymore. You have a government locking everyone down and deciding who is essential and who is not. That's morally reprehensible and it's wrong. And it hurts people and it kills some of them. That's where you are. The government is under one-man rule if you're in one of those 49 states out of 50. By the way, Christy Nome, thumbs up. You're awesome. You did the right thing. You didn't lose it, and you're a sane, well-adjusted, rational human being. Thank you. The rest of you, fuck off, because you hurt people and you get your rocks off doing it. And you slave over a hot microphone so nobody can have anything good anymore and everyone can be addled and afraid and in terror. And if you're wondering why so many intelligent people are not actually thinking, it's a psychologically established fact that when you make people afraid and subject them to terror, well, I mean, they start losing some functional IQ points and mental faculties. So that's where people are. So we have a psychosis we have to get ourselves out of. So fortunately for Make Me Day, that works. There's nothing violent about it. It's completely legal. We can cut the enforcers off when we need to. So I would tell, especially Trump supporters, look, you've been had. QAnon ain't going to save you. Every other week or every other month for the last 4 goddamn years, it's been like a shady contractor, because only a shady contractor will keep saying, but just wait till this date. That's when it's going to happen. That's when it's going to be huge, big building. I'll be done with it by then. I just need another check. You see, it's not coming. It's not coming. You're not going to get it if you put up with that. You're no different, Trump supporters, than Democrats, who think I'm going to vote Democrat. That's going to make racism end. When the hell did that happen? I mean, we're still waiting for Rodney King. We're still waiting for then, or what about ending these wars? What about repealing the Patriot Act that Trump himself signed? What's your threshold here? And that's the thing, because if you don't have a threshold, you're going to have bigger problems you can't vote your way out of. So here's the thing. It's difficult. Anyone who's going to say it's not going to be difficult is lying to you. And anyone who thinks, it's cool to not have a plan to end this, well, they're lying to you too. And that's a problem. And I am just as tired of King Lamont and these Democrats who want to impose just as much as these Republicans are like, but I voted really hard. I voted really hard against the state of emergency. Well, what did that do? What did that do? What did that waving that Trump flag do? What do you have to show for it? Great, I know. You got your rocks off. You felt good about yourself. You could pound your chest with pride. I stood tall. I waved that flag hard. Well, what do you got to show for it? Sometimes, and this may be sometimes, actually it's usually all the time. So let's just defer to you and assume that you're right on at least some of this, and maybe I'm completely wrong. But just at least sometimes, if what you're doing is not achieving the result you desire, lying about it to yourself is not going to make the result different. And I don't care how emotionally vested you are in a narrative, because all that's going on in the media right now, especially, it's not about here's what's happening. It's about supporting a narrative. That's it. It's not about, let's figure out where the scientific process really goes. It's not about how do we fix this? It's more important that, it's who said it, and it's about the damn narrative. It's about trying to justify and rationalize the past when the whole future is at stake here. And that's what you got to understand. So you've got 2 choices as a Trump supporter, okay? And a Republican, never mind whether you support Trump or not. Choice 1 is do what you've always done, which that sucks. The last chance to save the Republican Party was, I'd argue, Ron Paul. Most would rationally argue Barry Goldwater. That was a long damn time ago. So don't get on your high horse and tell me how fiscally conservative everything turned out to be, because Reagan, the man, the myth, is far more fiscally conservative than the actual guy. Because at the end of the day, someone was signing those checks and signing those bills. And it was Donald Trump just as much as it was Ronnie Reagan. So you're going to have to deal with it. I know. Sacred icon. People are morally shocked and offended. Well, this is the other problem. And the Democrats have this problem too. And a lot of libertarians have this problem as well. Your opinion is not part of your personal identity. Your candidate is not part of your personal identity. So you shouldn't get all hot and bothered and off your rocker about that, because pointing out the fact that you have been lied to by someone you've associated with a piece of your identity, that is not an assault or an affront to you. actually it's an opportunity where you could have more respect for yourself. So have more respect for yourself. Take a look at the world around you and decide you got to get involved. You got to do more than just vote. There's a lot of things you can do. There's another video on this channel about all the other stuff you can do. And there's so much you have. And this isn't going to turn around until you get it. And every one person that gets it matters. And one guy that does all this stuff, you know, that we're proposing, I mean, hey, he's way more powerful than one vote, way more powerful. So don't sell yourself short. Be good to you. And by the way, look out for your future self. This is what this is about. So even if you don't care about your friends, your family, whatever, this is about you. So please share this. You found it useful, entertaining. Throw some Bitcoin and do get the word out. And don't be old man customer about, you know, how hard it is or how polished things have to be or, you know, just for the right time, waiting around being optimal. I mean, look, you build it, it will come. You know, that's how any major achievement has been made. You don't just sit there waiting for the perfect time all the time because it never comes. And if you see Buddha on the road, run him over and kill him because he doesn't exist. So take care, and we will get it done. Talk to you soon.